Hello everyone. Welcome to today's stream. Thank you for coming by. Um, First off, sorry for being a no-show last week. Had a lot of unexpected real-life obligations that just came up, and needed to take some time to learn more about Substance Painter. Substance Painter allows me to texture the kobold, but I don't really know too much about it still, so I had to take some time to really learn more about it. And I think I have like a much better basic understanding of, at least enough to allow us to make some basic textures today. Because of last week I had to do some orientations, which is why I couldn't make it for some streams. I'm gonna be doing a seasonal job, and my first gig's tomorrow. It's gonna be in the afternoon, so for tomorrow I'm probably gonna be doing a very early stream. It might also be shorter than usual, because I might not have that much time. But I hope to get started on the baby kobold tomorrow. Today we're going to be doing the textures for the model we've been working on in the last stream. Over the weekend I did retopologize the smaller parts, like the lashes. Most of these smaller parts are like in the 1,000 of vertices, and the topology was kind of all over the place. I just basically halved most of them. Like now we're down to almost 500 vertices for the lashes. The brows are at 400, and I think the tongue got all the way down to 150, because the tongue's not going to be doing much. And yeah, even the nails. I think the nails are pretty good as they were, so I didn't do too much with them, so they're probably around the same. I think those are, because we'll also have LEDs for the kobold, so when you're farther away it's gonna switch to a lower poly version. It'll still have the same general shape, but if you were to look closer to the kobold, when it's in a lower level of detail, it wouldn't look as good, but as you walk up to the kobold, it switches to a higher poly version. So that kind of helps performance. It's more like optimizations of a game, but it's good to have it in mind as you make models, if that's something you're going to be doing later down the line. Kind of gives you like a head start. But something I forgot to do over the weekend was I forgot to add a IK rig to the armature, and I noticed that I didn't add a foot bone, and I need to add a bone between the head and the eyes here to help it more realistically roll around in the eye socket. That's kind of slipped in my mind while I was making the rig, so I'll probably do those off stream. It won't take too long, but I just need to look up, specifically how I want to do the IK rig. I kind of don't want to do that on stream. Another thing is, since we retopologized most parts, I didn't retopologize these, so as you see, these have UV maps that ZBrush exported with. These aren't the best UV maps. I probably want to redo these. But you know, the new models like the body don't have any maps, so we need to make these before we can make textures. And these aren't too hard to make. What we do is we have to place seam lines around different parts of the body so they can unwrap into this 2D plane here. That's kind of how the textures, you know where to put the colors and scales and stuff, the details of the kobold onto the model. That's what we're going to be doing today, putting seams, and then after that we'll try to do some basic texturing in Substance Painter. So first, what you want to keep in mind is try to make it as if you are making seams in a piece of clothing, like a t-shirt. Like how would you put these seams across the, sleeves or the pants? Where do the seams of the pants go? And that's kind of like where you want to mark seams on a mesh. Right here. So it makes these red lines, and I focus on one half because you can just mirror down to the other half when you're done. So having it like this kind of gives a cylindrical shape, but you want to cut it down the middle right here, so that when you unwrap it, it's kind of like a 2D plane on the UV texture here. Because if you were just unwrap it as it is, you kind of get like this mess instead of this clean flat shape right here. Because the program doesn't know where you want these textures to wrap out, so you need to tell it with these seams. And something else is instead of using the built-in unwrap, I have this plugin. It's a free plugin called Mio 3. I just feel like it has a better unwrapping tools. Helps you, like if there are errors, you can easily fix them with the tools here. That's what I'll be using. So here on the foot, because these aren't like standard human parts, you gotta kind of be creative of where you want to put the seam lines. It's generally the same as if you were working with a humanoid figure. Kind of want it to go across, down. And that's why it's good to have a good loops here. Retopology so you can create easy seams across the model. looking good. Here would be RNC. The wrist. The same thing as the leg, because they're kind of, cylindrical shape. You can just do one seam across. Usually you want these seams on places that aren't like important, because in some textures you can kind of see the seam of the texture, so you kind of want these in like places where they don't get shown too much, like on the underside of the arm or inside the leg. It's not too much of a problem, but in case it is, it's already there. I think I want to undo this and put it on this part. I think it looks cleaner there. Looking for the hand. I'm gonna go across here. You might come across instances like this where there's no clear way to go around. They have to, take a different route. It's not the end of the world, but I think it'll be better like that. Yeah, I remember I was like having issues trying to figure out how I wanted to make this while I was retopologizing it. See, this is kind of like some issues with not making it as cleanly as I was trying to. But this will work out. It's not too big of an issue. Same thing with the leg and arms. The tail is a cylindrical object as well, so just kind of get the top and bottom seams. Oops. Now you want a line across. Going under the tail is, less visible. And for here at the end, I'm just gonna split it down the middle. It's kind of like the end cap. See the cylindrical shape. The neck is the same. It's pretty much just a cylinder. But for this, you want seams on both sides. I only didn't do one because I'm gonna have to mirror the rest, so the seam will go on the other side anyway. There's no straight line down, so we're gonna have to kind of go across for the body, which is fine. But it would have been more cleaner if I could go down, but if I do, I'll kind of make an angle. Having it here, that's fine. You're gonna want to have a seam going in between. And think we're good. I hope we're good. So we symmetrize it. Sometimes it wants to mirror the other side, so we have to go here and flip it, and then I'll have it the side we wanted correctly mirrored. And everything looks good, so we go here to unwrap it, and we just click unwrap. So we get, you know, kind of a clean flat pieces. I think I should add a seam on the shoulder here. I kind of just forgot to. I kind of want to like a picture a t-shirt. They usually have seams going across it because, you know, most clothing are originally made from, you know, like 2D pieces of fabric. You can just stitch them into like a 3D kind of shape. But in doing that, yeah, I can make some more flat texture. It's easier to work with when texturing. So you kind of want all of these to like fill up the whole square, so you actually normalize it. If you want, you know, lines here to be straight, you can straighten them out like that. But for our needs, I think this is fine. But that's the UV. UV texture for the body. But you pretty much have to do everything else now. For the head, basically I want to go around these loops. So having the seam, you know, where the lash should be would be ideal, but there's no straight loop here, but I think this one will do fine. Get the mouth loop. Just trying to figure out where I want these. I really want like the head. I don't know the head. I think this one would be best. So we mark the seam. The other meshes out. See better. Over here, we're gonna want to have a seam go across. That's good. Let's go for the back of the head. Going down the middle here. Going across. I'm gonna have it go up earlier. It gives that square shape. Nope, not gonna make that much of a difference. So we mark the seam. Kind of want to put a seam here, but we'll see how it unwraps first. I think you want one going across here too. If you make them stick like this, you can also clear the seam. Maybe we want sure. I think it's best if we maybe here. A seam here, it's cylindrical or sphere, or it's a circle basically. I think this part's better. Yeah, I think that looks good. Let's mirror it. Here, somewhere here. Symmetrize. I'm looking for like the word mirror. Hey, thanks for joining the stream, Hail Kid. Right now we're marking seams to get ready for texturing this kobold model here. Have some issues here. They didn't unwrap that well. I think everything else looks fine. The head part. But yeah, we kind of want a seam here, I think. So we can easily do that by adding the seam. Whoops. I think this one would, it's getting hidden by the fin more. Just barely though. I think it's just better here because it's going in line with the other seam. I'll make a cleaner UV. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. Gotta symmetrize. Okay. Hopefully this turns out better. Is it connected here? Oops. Oh, there's no... I didn't mark the seam fully here. Yeah, I missed the spot, basically. So... there we go. So we kind of want to make these, this 3D shape fit a 2D plane. That allows us to texture it easier. And so far we've done the head and the body. We gotta do all the other small parts. I want to redo these fins here because the auto UV that got made is kind of not that great. As you can see, these there's overlapping parts. This big square here is under all these little ones. So if I were to put like a texture here, it would go on both sides, which is not ideal. We have to fix that by adding seams across the mesh. So for a shape like this, you just want to basically go across. Like before, we need to symmetrize it. I think we need to somehow clear the UVs. Was kind of taking the one I had before into account. Yeah, you know, getting into 3D modeling is very intimidating as you first try to start out. But you know, the more you just have to sit down and just try to keep modeling, because you know, the more models you make, the more you get used to it, the more you improve. And I'm still improving on, you know, as I go along right now. I just assumed it would if you add seams, it would unwrap properly. But because this had existing seams or existing UVs, kind of taking that into account with the seams. Yeah, I think we have to. Sorry, I have a laptop here, so I just quickly looked it up. I think we need to create a new text or UV image. At least that should have worked. If I unselect it. I think we will just skip defense for now. Figure that out later. It shouldn't be too hard, but just can't figure it out right now. So we have the lashes. Get the head out of the way. The reason I have issues with the UVs is, I usually just use the ones ZBrush gives me. I don't retopple often. I'm trying to get more into retopology. There are things I don't really understand. A lot of learning as I go. Right now I get the general idea of what's happening. I'm just gonna look up a few things. So since we have this thing here, I kind of wanna. I think first we'll just make the loop here. I'll have it go down across. I'll have a loop here. Go close. Alright, see what's going on with the vertices here. I think we wanna this one. Mark C. think for here we want this line so you can go across easier. It's not, you know, in line with the other seam, but that's not an issue. We want to have the seam here, so this can unwrap better. Okay. One behind here. I think I need a loop here. More complicated than it looks, but not too bad. I think that should unwrap well. Make sure nothing's sharing vertices. No, it's all good. That's both of them. Okay, so next we have the let's do the brows. Basically, perfect. I think eventually I'll have to combine all these UVs into one giant texture, just for optimization purposes, but for now I'll keep them separate. Because when you have like dozens of these models running around the map, having that many textures for everything, you know, adds up quickly. So it's good to have everything in one texture, if possible. Same thing, just do one big loop. Symmetry. Looks good. I don't think we need seams for the eyes. They're already deep. Maybe just need to. sure why it's not unwrapping the. It is here. It's just very small, I think. Yeah, they're just super tiny for some reason. Very odd. I'm not sure what's going on. But I think it's because I made this out of primitive. You know, I just went a mesh circle. I made one of these. And I just, you know, extruded. I need to like prep the mesh before unwrapping somehow. Sure how to. Maybe it's because of scale. I didn't scale or set the scale. Well, I was just trying to figure this stuff out. Sorry about this. I didn't think this would be a problem. It shouldn't be too hard to figure out. Just need to find where the menu option is. Should be something like it's in. No, I think I might be thinking of something else. Try to figure that out later. We're not going to texture it the same way we're going to do everything else though, because it's just a flat plane that doesn't need, normals or anything. I still need to figure out how to make a UV map for it eventually. I think we got the head, yeah. The lashes. The nails. I think the nails have their own, but it's actually not the worst. I think like the fins, I'm gonna have to figure out how to clear these existing UVs first before I can make new ones. Teeth really need a new one. That's the thing, I have to figure that out later. Good for the tongue though. Wish I have it up here. That should be fun. Yep. I want to normalize. I think we're good to go. I want to export these individually. This is the Let me see if that's just the body or if that exported the whole mesh, whole kobold. Now that got everything. The whole kobold. We don't want that, we just want the body. Let me delete the previous one. Maybe just have to hide them, maybe? Things should go more smoothly when we start using Substance Painter. I was more prepared for that. I wasn't expecting Blender to cause me any issues. It's not Blender, but you know, I'm just not too used to doing. And it still give us the whole thing. Lots of trial and error. I think this one might work out. No. Might be my export options. Yeah, selection only. Whoops. Sometimes when you export a model and something's weird, it's usually because you have some weird options selected or not selected. Happens to me all the time. Yeah, now it works. Let's redo all that. What was this? Oh, an underscore low. Wish I had. I think we'll just keep it outside. We got the body, perhaps. I want to make sure. We should have the armature. Why did we not? See if that works. Does not. Are they all missing? Okay, I think I retopologized and I just didn't. Didn't re-add them to the armature. Can fix that later. It's really easy, just We paint it all to the head. Let's I should do that now. Would it cause issues if I don't do it now? We're only using the mesh to make the texture. I don't think we have to do it now. Start to export it. Don't have their separate folders. We must, because I didn't need that. Just the body has it. I feel like I'm missing something, but I think we're good. This is the island. There's a lot to keep track. I think I just forget stuff. Don't get the eyes. Because we don't have the UV, we don't need the. Got the head, so we need that. Why is it a blend? Alright, so once you have the models you want exported for texturing, basically open up Substance Painter. I think I want to move this over to my tablet. I'm gonna have to change scenes here. We're gonna have to draw in some details. This makes it easier instead of having to use your mouse. This might mess up my hand tracking though. It's kind of optimized for use on my keyboard. This is my hand on my tablet. It's kind of clipping. It doesn't want to wrap my other hand. Go edit real quick. Because we're gonna be here a while. My hand's here. Don't want to distance it. Seems just fine for now. It just look weird at times because it just doesn't want to track. Try to have a better setup next time. Leave it as is. So I have a few material packs, like there's a pack called AIG. They have like a lot of stylized panel materials that I can use. So over the weekend I kind of learned more about how to use Substance Painter, because usually I just take a material and plop it onto the and then I just edit some properties of the material, and that kind of just works out. I kind of want to learn more about how to make them, you know, from scratch and stuff, so I can have more control over the detail. So first we're gonna do just looking it up real quick. Hey, thanks for the follow, Gray Green. I don't know why there's two. I don't know what the difference here is. This will be fun. Want a 2K resolution. And to select the model. Let's start with, so the body's gonna be the worst of the bunch to do, because I need to make the kind of like the plate scales on the body right here. I'm gonna have to do that by hand. We'll also have some on the face, but you know, it's not as large of a surface area as the body. It's more easier. But what I learned is, you know, these layers here kind of act like layers in Photoshop, basically. If you want to create stuff from scratch, you just take a basic texture from here. You can start with this. This is kind of like your base layer. And you can add like different kinds of effects and stuff to it. You can add different filters, and kind of changes the property of the texture. And so these are basically just you know, like a packaged layers that professionals have made. You're gonna get a better kind of style or something they're going for. I don't know why it's inverting. I think the normals are flipped, maybe. I saw that shouldn't happen. Something's up with the model. Yeah. Some are working fine, but maybe it's that blend test. Maybe you should try alpha test. Usually I use this one because, you know, a Unity template, but it's for the HD pipeline. But I use URP, which is a different pipeline, so the textures aren't, you know, they don't export for it. I heard that they just have better export options for it, but I think it's messing up the model, maybe? No, it's just the... Okay, we're safe. Just selected the wrong option. Let me just redo this, make sure everything's what we want. So first, actually, we need to bake the high poly model we made during the sculpting streams onto the slow poly model. We do that by baking the details into the texture maps. I think they're offset. Let's see if this works. No, it didn't work at all. We have to... How should I do this? I'm gonna have to quickly import them into Blender and then export them. Because when I import the sculpts into Blender, they're usually kind of offset, so I manually push them up. But because I never did that with the high poly models, here's an example of the high poly models in Blender. They have so many polygons that when you're zoomed out, it just looks like a silhouette. This is why we make the low poly versions, because trying to run this in game kind of will break your GPUs. We have like multiples of those running around. This is much more optimized for a video game. I don't know why I deleted it. I don't have to use it. So I'm gonna match this configuration match best as we can. It's kind of hard because Blender's gonna be lagging. But once we get one, we can use the same value for the rest of the meshes. It's probably bad to start out with the body because it has the most detail. I think it's fine. It's good if there's like a, you can see parts of a model because that means it's aligned. I think that should work. Looks fun, so I'm gonna copy. All right. There we go. It creates a cage around the low poly mesh. That's how it figures out how to make the textures properly. So now the low poly model has the detailings of the high poly mesh onto its UV map. And it creates these different textures to do that. And then when you add like a gold, what happens here? I've never seen this. I've never seen it. It's probably because it's not perfectly aligned. I think I'll try importing more. That's the original position. Maybe if we lift down the lower one. This is its size 0. It's not the manager. It might be a tad too low, but Actually, I think a better idea is we import the low and the original high. That's a high poly. Import the high and then the original poly. And I think we can match this up better with the poly. I think this was this process and get it. Let's try this out. Let's try rebaking of the other one. I don't see any issues. The textures are flashing. Is this normal? This kind of looks weird. It's like missing. I think that's where it's like it's not aligned properly. It's like kind of intersecting there, and so it doesn't know how to align the texture. It's not using the low poly UV actually. It's completely different. I think it's because I think it's auto unwrapping added on. I think that might be the issue. Whoops. Yeah, see, it says the actual UV removed. So maybe that was the issue. It's just using a different UV. Looks good so far. This looks like there's a chunk missing, some kind of rig. But hopefully this works out. The details look fine. It's still having issues. It might be the template again, maybe. Let me try that really quick. It might be this alpha setting. Because usually I use this one. Fine. So I just assume the other would work as well. Yeah, it might actually be the template I used. I'm not sure what that's about. But anyways, now we're back. So first, with the last kobold model I made my own smart materials. I'm just gonna use that for now. If they have this AA marker and I made it, I just put AA in front so it sorts to the top of this list so I can find them easier. It's called kobold. So this is kind of what I approximated to a kobold skin texture. I kind of wanted like a small detail bumps. And we can change different properties of it with these. That's kind of how you can kind of affect the texture. A little more glossy. But instead of just plopping down a material, there's a specific way I want the scales to be. Without having to sculpt the scales by hand in the sculpt. So I had to make it from scratch, and the way I did that, over the weekend I did some testing and kind of figured out how to do it. I started out with a paint starting texture. Here. I think it's because I had this squished down. Yeah. It's just in the first one. It's just called paints, roll paint. And I'm not seeing it. It's this one. So these act as layers, so if you put a material on top, it kind of like goes over the whole thing. Whereas if it was in the bottom, that one's on top. So here, right now it's kind of going by UV projection, and because of that you can see the seams quite easily. So to fix that, we go here and we select triplanar. It kind of wraps the texture around over the seam. It kind of gives a seamless look. So then we add a I want to add a mask. What this does is, wherever there's like paint data, that's where it'll apply the texture. You can so I'm gonna try that. So that's gonna be how I make the plate. I basically have to paint the scale plate to it manually. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time, because you can, just come in here and kind of edit it at any time. You can also, like, if you don't want to paint on, if you need like a really detailed paint and it's too hard on the mesh, you can also just paint directly on the UVs and they show up on the mesh itself. It's kind of handy for like detail of material. I think it might be easy. So do it on the mesh. I find it easier to sketch on the mesh directly. Then when I want to fill in areas, I can just go into the UV and do more broad strokes here. Just a little cross here. You can invert, and that allows you to erase. So, you can go in here and change the color. I want like a more yellowy. But you might notice that the texture is really flat. So what we can do is we can add an anchor point. And we add another layer. You can see it went over the rest of the layers, but down here, see right now it's just set to color. Instead we can just have it affect only height. We'll add a... Well, first I want to show you if we add a mask. We add a fill to the mask. If we set the grayscale here to the anchor point that we made before, the mask will apply the previous, well, the layer that has that anchor point. It's really handy when you want to add effects onto other layers. So we're doing that, so we can just only select height. Now when we add height effects, it'll kind of create a, just add height only to this area of the texture stuff, you know, throughout the whole body. So I have down here like the kind of order I wanted the effects to be. So I had a filter. I had it set to blur. I had a 8.55. Here we can affect the height. So yeah, as we move it, you can see it, this affects that area of the texture where the paint is. Add it at 0.75. See the blur effect kind of just blurs that. If we remove it, it's kind of more hard. If there's like little holes, you can just go back and paint those in. So we have this blur. want to make sure these things are fine. These up for now. Here I added a level. This kind of limits the area where the blur can extend to. So right now it's going around here. Here we can just hard cut it. So it looks more like, 3D scale kind of area. Have this up to the far. Let's find it one. It's starting to take shape, but we can refine it more with even another layer. Kind of do the same thing. We add the fill, and we use the same anchor point. I want to make sure these sides have this value at negative. So what this does is it kind of like acts as, this is going outward. We kind of want to have a little bit going inward so it looks like these are embedded more into the skin. So you just do the opposite. But here I had a special filter of the bevel. And have the distance at 0.2. May not look like anything's happening right now with it, but I think once you add the next, kind of pop out. Hey, yes. I think I have the value wrong. 0, 0, 1. Should know. And then for the levels, so a lot of this is just adding different effects and seeing if they get the kind of effect you want. We had a level, and I duplicated it. And then we had a bullet. quality 1.5. That kind of gives, more of an embedded look. Kind of play with the values, try to get it better. I kind of want it to be more subtle. It's hard for now, but this is kind of like the more annoying part. I want to get the stripes across that, but to do that, I have to do this manually by just drawing the lines across. I've tried other automatic ways, but I can never get it to look right. I just found that manually drawing it is just easier to get what I'm trying to go for. So, start off like this. Actually better if this is white. Maybe it just gives the seams off. Instead I had a ink layer. This is where I drew the line. First we can just kind of get it through erasing. I think it's better if you just erase first. A blank canvas. You just want to make a very straight line. Just kind of a pain to get correctly. I would kind of do the same thing with the filters. Kind of get like a more embedded look. So steadily, not only had a height map, but also a color map. That's what gives it that color. Sunday height. I think it's down here. Some materials have different kind of values in places where the things are. Like this one, I just had this slider here. This one's kind of weirder. I think it's not a paint roll, actually, it's just a regular. Let's get all these. What I can do. Copy. Paste. Okay. So we get color and height. This is at a maybe 0.2. Then we add a blur. Then all levels. That's how I get the line effect. So what this does is gives me that kind of 3D scale. Effect without having to, have these details on the mesh itself. Here it's just in the texture. So you don't have to have like two meshes to mess with. And what I'm gonna do later is have like a mask texture just over this scale part. And then one for the rest of the body. That way in Unity we can have, or pretty much tint these different colors. So when I export these are gonna be all white value, or white colored. That way in Unity we can just tint these to be whatever color we want in engine, so you can kind of customize it to different colors. We don't bake the colors into the texture, just the details. So with these, I have the color layers. I think the white just gives me a better kind of idea where I want the paint to be. But right now we need to figure out how far we want these to be. And these aren't going to be like how, I'm going to mess with the kind of different materials I want. These are just, just to get a basic kind of texture applied. You can just edit the underlying things to get different, kind of more detailed, I guess. Kobold detail. These are not kind of. I think the bumps, you know, they're better than just having them flat, but you can get like a better kind of texture. As I play around with the material. This is just, you know, what I found over the weekend, you know, kind of get somewhat of a kobold kind of. Or at least, you know, what I'm trying to go for with the kobold texture. But I think that's good kind of like distance to go for, but you can clearly see there's kind of like a different ring height. I think this might be too soft. I feel like I might be making them too close together. I'm just trying to eye it, basically. I feel like there are better ways to go about this. Like you can edit the brush settings so it kind of like has multiple mirroring lines. You can just add multiple lines at once, but I was trying that over the weekend. I just couldn't get it to work out right. I just found going individually faster than trying to figure it out. I'll try to figure out better workflows over time so things don't take forever. For every model. Actually, what might be better is if we get a more final kind of plate, because I kind of just need this. I think we're at 10. I want to get like a better shoot. Then we can go make down the thighs here too. Is it turning white? I'm not sure why, because it should be math. It's not like, another word, we can just manually erase it. It's kind of annoying, and I'm not sure why that's happening. It's kind of easier if we don't have the 3D effects. See how it looks like. I want to have it come in not a bit smaller. I don't know if I can be able to. That's kind of weird. I think this way is kind of like it's too bad. Something like that. And here's where we have the seam, so it's kind of creating a seam. seems to become more noticeable when you're playing around with the heights of the texture. So now you can barely tell there's a scene there. I think that's good for now. Play around with it. Try to get better kind of shape. That's kind of a general idea. Just kind of add effect layers to affect the different materials. So you can kind of get different depths. Go back down to 4 or 5. So try to finish off these lines. This one's kind of too thin. Maybe some.
You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't gonna let it get to me. I'm just gonna creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my little speed. I know that it's here. I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkins in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back him up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying, you a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall. And then I started to fly, I went in deeper. Let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep. Down Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. A ghost try to approach me, he got leery.
So if we go in here, we can change the color. Get those straight lines.
I ain't gonna let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep. Down in Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys.
We need like a smaller
Didn't seem happy, but they sure trying to
paint's kind of bleeding out into the edges.
The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head. I have no fear. It probably seems crazy. I'm crazy.
You can also play with the lows later to find a sweet spot. Between the paint and the creases. Looks the same layer. Sometimes you get like these weird kind of artifacts because it's too tight of a space for the effects to really line up together well. So you gotta try to find a good balance between them. Try to play around with that later. Let's try to get the tail on. Ready. I might need. Whoops. flip that toy. This lets me see it better. It's because it's mirroring. Just start over here. Make it more of like a straight down kind of line, but it keeps curving. It'd be hard to do on the texture because they're separated. Trying to get the spacing correct. I'm not liking how this one's going down. Here's the noticing small imperfections, the line. Any particular reason you decided to go with less stubby proportions compared to the old design? This is the more of a adult form of the kobold. There's gonna be a baby version. It's gonna be more like this one. It's gonna be like half height of this model. So that's, so you can kind of get like two different kinds instead of like two identical kinds. So first it starts off with like a kobold egg, and it hatches into the baby kobold and into this one. The baby kobold's gonna have like more of a rounded face. And torso is gonna be like kind of one with the tail, with more smaller proportion to arms and legs. But also, you can change the proportions through it's not going to change the length of the arm. The kobold models will eventually have like very extensive shape key options. Have like you have like like fire kobolds. They change with the shape key values. Smaller size. Or even like the bigger one. Just depending on how you feed your kobold, they can like change proportions a little bit. There won't be too much beyond this base, really. I'm trying to go for more like a, because it's the original kobold models, it kind of like has this kind of stubby look from being very low poly. It's hard to capture that, in a higher poly setting, so I went with more like of a stylized kind of look that I feel would fit more with the higher poly stylized kind of being. I'm hoping to capture more of the original kobold's look with the baby kobold. Because same thing with the Chow Garden kind of proportions. They're Chow proportions. They're kind of just more like a few circles. To put together. Look at this. They're just like a few circles. I wanted to capture that with the baby kobold, but I'm trying to do this in like this kind of resolution. It'll just look wonky, I feel. So I feel like, you know, sorry for not like explaining this super well. I'm not that great at explaining things. But I hope you like at least get an understanding. It's just like harder to get that kind of like proportions without it just looking weird. Just kind of fidelity. It like looks better in copy. But I'm also, you know, if everyone kind of like feels like this is like kind of too different from the original, I might try to swap them out later. So I kind of like get more feedback. By swap out, I mean, you know, try to make a better model that approximates the original. I think that's kind of a big point, you know, trying to not fall into that uncanny kind of valley. That's a better way to put it. Why a lot of like really 3D CGI movies kind of look weird just because they don't really understand the line between like realism and stylized kind of models. Because, you know, 3D was just so new. But like, what I mean is like I can, you know, eventually I'll maybe like try to make them more, uh, try to make a model that's more closely aligned with the original. When I have time later down the line as we're making the game, and I'll post it to see what people think. Because I'm not tied to the models. I'm okay with switching them out if people prefer anything else. Just when what I envision with where Kobold Garden is going, I feel like this kind of model would better suit it at this time. But you know, maybe as we go along, we can try different things. And by different, I mean trying the older model, but with higher poly. I feel like there is a charm to the original model. Its proportions I'm not fully capturing. That's why I don't want to be stuck trying to figure out. Just trying to push through so we can get more progress done. Kind of getting this weird pattern. I think it's because there's not enough paint. Fill it up a little. Anything that weird. That's already getting this weird. I'm not actually sure why, actually. You just have to play with the levels eventually. I'm kind of being indecisive of where I want, how big I want these to be. So I'll play around with them throughout the week and show you guys where I'm at with it later on, but which is generally how I'm gonna make the textures. I kind of want to add like a it's more like I don't know what you call them, like scales, I guess. Just like around, they're almost like freckles, almost, but they're similar to these. They're like kind of gonna have their own like height to them, kind of like that. Okay, try to figure out what those will look like. I think I'll have different kind of different textures, but I'll have different kind of patterns like this. The kobolds can have different kinds of shapes. I was originally thinking like having these be separate meshes. That way it can just dynamically move them. I think there's no point in that. We can just add them to the texture. So with that, I'm not going to export the textures now because I'm going to play around with them. But for now, we're going to do the other body parts. I gotta export the high poly like I did with the body. This is saved, so just start off with a new file. Okay, so this is the poly. Need to pick the high poly detail. Okay, everything's looking good. I'm gonna lower the tiling because these mobs are too dense. I think that looks good. So you pretty much do the same thing. You can make the paint over here. It's goodbye. Yeah, the ink. So first, before we have the height, we can just paint the base. Go to kind of want to get right below the crease. Like turn on symmetry. First, I'll start off a little lower. You can change it later. You're fine when you go out long. So over here, we just wanna don't want to go out into the jaw. We just want to get the wall part. Kind of hard to get a good angle. The Substance Painter 3D isn't as good as the Blender's 3D movement. At least this is quick to get around. And it takes a little bit more effort. The other side, we want to go across. So like we did with the body, we have to add the 3D effects. And that would be, so we got the fill, we need the border. .55. I forgot to turn off the color. I want the heights. Heights at 0%. Then so or another fill layer. It's just kind of what kind of what happens when you mess with the height data when it's going on the seams of the model. Kind of makes the seams more apparent. It might be just a substance painter thing. It might look better. If not, I'll try to play around with the seams. I'll try to put the seams more inward. But for now, try to match the colors. The body. Won't be perfect, but I'll get the values. String. I'm gonna add one more material. I made this a long time ago. It'll work for the side of the mouth. It has its own depth. Go down again. Turn it off for now. It's kind of overlapping the jaw. What we can do is we can just put it under that way. It ends up 3D effect of the paint. Might want to add some more on the edges. Yeah, I think that's basically the head. Yeah, I don't add any paint for the inside of the eyes because instead we, I'm gonna have masks for the different colors here. We can change them in engine. But for here I'm gonna have it use a completely separate material in engine. I'm gonna use a unlit shader. So it doesn't need a texture. Like the body, I kind of want to add like this small, scale textures like right there, or around the snout. And let's see what else. Got the I think for everything else it's just bake the textures, then pop on the kobold material. I don't really have to paint anything. I want the brow. I think we should just get through the exporting of the shapes. I keep forgetting they don't have them. I'm going to make a note of that for the next model. Just have both the low and high poly model moved up together. So I don't have to do that after. Need the tongue. I think I'm gonna hold off on the tongue for now, because I wanna redo its hypo image. Actually, I might as well. Maybe try to add because I want to add like a line into the tongue. Maybe I can do that through the texture like I did with the plates. Kind of see how that looks. If it doesn't work out, we can just redo it quickly. I think that's all of them exported, so we can put them on in here. Make sure it's a save. Oops. Burning on. We should have it CUVs. Not gonna make much of a difference, but we need the textures for these anyway. I think I forgot to smooth out the meshes. That's not good. My pin should be blue poly. Let's smooth it. think you're just using the wrong color mode.